Many years ago when I did photography, we used to use rolls of film in the cameras, unlike today where we're using SD card. The image on the roll of film when processed was in a negative format. The people who developed your films would use this negative format to produce the photographs that you would normally receive. When you receive your photographs back, you would normally get the negatives. These could either be in black and white or colour, depending upon what you used. To convert these negatives to put them onto your computer and then print later on, there are devices on Amazon and eBay that can be used, but they are quite expensive. I decided to try different methods to see if I can find a way of doing this cheaply with what I've already got. The secret is to have a white lit up background. A mobile phone with a white wallpaper would be ideal. The light must be even across the negative. It is a simple case now of taking a photograph of the negative. I ruled out a computer monitor as there are small LEDs in there that will show through when you put the negative on, as you can see here. What I did find was one of my old LED camera lights. Due to the large amount of LEDs, this did have to be put behind a white perspex sheet to diffuse the light. This did actually work, although being a bit large and cumbersome. Remember, the important thing is to dissipate the light, so if you've got loads of LEDs on there, you need some way of diffusing that light and trying to keep it white. Amongst my lighting, I was fortunate to have one that I could change the colour temperature and also brightness. This also had a white diffuser. Now this made things absolutely perfect for me. A lot of the small studio lighting or camera lighting do come with diffusers. In this case, this particular light had a silicone white diffuser which was away from the LEDs. The LED beads would shine through the diffuser but not show each of the LEDs individually, as you do not want this. You need a plain white light with the negative in front of it. You do need to be able to position your light in front of your camera, so having a tripod that would be extendable or adjustable would be ideal. You will need a way of holding negative against your light source. For me this was relatively easy, as I had a couple of small thin elastic bands. Putting these on either side of the light source meant that I could slip the negatives into the elastic bands and they would stay in place due to the elasticity of the elastic bands. With them being rubber and not on very tight, it meant that I wouldn't damage the negatives when sliding the negative backwards and forwards to get the right position to take a photograph of the negative. I did try different means of taking photographs, either with my mobile phone, camera or camcorder. You would need to hold this extremely still, or better still, use a tripod. You will need to do some experimentation with light and also getting the focus correct. Remember, this is all trial and error. A lot of the negatives has writing on, or you can use the sprockets on the negative to focus. It is important that you keep the camera and the negative level, so line everything up, take a little bit of time when doing this. Do a few experimental shots. I did find that lining up or getting the focus right, I used either the writing on the negative or the sprockets on the top and bottom of the negative. The rule of thumb here is if they're in focus, then the picture will be in focus when you take it. Try not to shake the camera when pressing the shutter release. If you have countdown facilities to take a photograph, use that or use a remote as shown here. This stops any vibration of the camera. Remember, it's all trial and error, different light settings and focusing, so experiment. Once you have your photograph, it's a simple case of pulling it into something like Photoshop. This will enable us to invert the negative. If you are using Photoshop, go to Image, Adjustments and Invert, or simply press Ctrl-I. We now have a photograph that we can work on. Now it's in this format, you can work with your photograph. Mark the area of interest that you want to keep and cut out the rest. Remember, it doesn't matter whether these are in colour or in black and white, you can do the same for both. Over the years, the negatives that I had were in boxes. They got scratched, dust marks and that, so you will have to edit these out. Or if you want to make them look old, you can certainly leave those in, but for me I like to take those out and turn the negative into a positive and make it viewable like it would have been those years ago when the photograph was taken. Okay, that's a negative into a positive. Yes, you will have to edit it a little bit when you've taken the photograph into your photo editing software. So being able to have the ability to go from negative to positive, then being able to amend or adjust it to suit your needs very cheaply, this is certainly the way to go. As I mentioned earlier, colour, you can do the same with that. The process is exactly the same as you did with your black and white negatives. Remember, take your time and do lots of experiments and light settings, and I'm sure you'll come out with some beautiful pictures from the past. I hope you found this information of use to you. Thank you for watching.